August 23rd, 2022, also known as the day the end almost worlded. Wait a minute, I said that wrong. The day the world almost ended. Dungeons had been disabled, and because I was completely addicted to Skyblock, and still am, instead of being a rational person and going and doing some other stuff for a few days, I decided, what if I got into Kuudra? Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, that decision would take over 1,000 hours of my life away, plus billions and billions of coins. However, it would also end up making me quite a few coins in the process as well. This is the story of how I obtained the ultimate Kuudra setup and made billions and billions of coins in the process. Also, real quick before the video actually starts, I just want to say real quick, currently I'm in a race with my absolute GigaChad rival, Future77. We're currently in a race to see who can hit 30,000 subscribers first. And as of right now, we have lagged behind quite a bit in the race, as you can clearly see here. So yeah, subscribing and liking would really help me out a ton of areas to beat him. And anyways, if you can't already tell, this is a very different style video from what I'm used to doing. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Also, once again, sorry for the really late upload. This video is just taking quite a while to put together. So yeah, on that note, it would really mean a lot to me and make my day if you guys could at least consider liking and subscribing. Now our story begins, just as I said in the intro, when I actually decided to get good and start doing some Kuudra. Now, as fun as my basic and hot tier Kuudra runs I did in 3/4 Storm with 600 magical power were, well, yeah, it was kind of time to start upgrading. So I went ahead and milked like 4 months of content. I mean, I made a few months worth of content of upgrading my Kuudra stuff, all starting with a good archer setup, because at this point, tier 5 Kuudra had just been released. And if you don't already know, tier 5 Kuudra has an extra phase on the end, which instead of hits, you just need pure DPS. Now, my current DPS wasn't actually completely terrible. Okay, never mind, I take that back. It was absolutely atrocious. So yeah, what was the first step into getting better DPS? Well, of course, I had to go ahead and buy a second Terminator to go along with my Soul Eater Terminator, this second one having duplex, because not only would it come in extremely handy during the hits phase of Kuudra, but it would also help my DPS situation out a bit. So it was basically a win-win. Until, of course, I woke up the next morning and half the comments on that video were all peer pressuring me into getting a third Terminator, which of course I didn't give into. At least not for the first few days, that is. Bang! There we go, boys. We got it. We got the third Terminator. Ba-bang, there we go. Fatal Tempo 1 has been applied. Okay, look, I know it was kind of a dumb financial decision at the time, because I mean, like, I couldn't even really do tier 5 yet, which kind of meant that it wasn't useful for Kuudra whatsoever, because if you don't actually know, only duplex works on the hits phase of Kuudra. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not really known for making the smartest financial decisions ever, especially considering, well, now, I heard that your rival currently has 3 boats. You have to make it one up in Inferno. By all time, you really got it. Now, imagine being so public. Now, buy one Inferno. Now, buy one Inferno. You're still missing Inferno. Get Inferno term. Now, get one with Inferno. Okay, yeah, I might have gotten peer pressured into buying an Inferno Terminator, and then later soulbounding it. Okay, look, I blame it on the peer pressure, alright? Anyways, point is, now with this new gear, I could actually deal somewhat good DPS. Not really up to tier 5 Kuudra standards, but you know what, it's fine, alright? I was kind of getting bored of just upgrading my archer setup, so I decided instead to move on to phase 2, the Mage Setup. Now you see, there are 2 main things you need to have a good Mage Setup: intelligence and intelligence. Now, there really isn't an easy way to obtain the latter of the two, so to compensate for that fact, I decided to get as much pixel intelligence as I physically and possibly could. Thank you to this comment for inspiring that joke, by the way. Now, what was the first step into getting more intelligence, you may ask? Well, of course, it was spending my entire life savings on an Aurora set, which actually did end up giving me some pretty decent intelligence over my Storm armor. But the main thing I was looking for in this set was the EHP, which should be pretty wait, excuse me, why is it the exact same? Okay, yes, so the Aurora armor plan may have not gone as successfully as I would have hoped for, but if I've learned anything from my like 2 years of playing this game, it's that if you have a problem, just throw more money at it. And yes, those were real enchanted gold blocks I threw in the void for a 1.5 second clip. And throwing money at the problem is exactly what I ended up doing. I was able to upgrade my Aurora boots to 6-star fiery, buy a mana regen 5, mana pool 5 implosion belt, as well as a pretty decent gas cloak. And I also went ahead and got myself the bizarre talisman power for like 150 mil, which I later figured out was completely and utterly pointless because you need to be on archer reforgers for tier 5 anyways. So yeah, no, it definitely was not the smart smartest financial decision I've ever made. Well, I mean, considering I bought 4 Terminators, it actually might be. Anyways, finally, after all of these upgrades and after killing my purse a countless amount of times, it was finally time to begin my tier 5 journey. Wait a minute, I don't have the rep, excuse me. So yeah, even after I spent all of that time getting all this new fancy gear and all these new fancy weapons, yeah, I still had to spend another like 10 days or so just getting the rep to even do tier 5 Kuudra. But then once I finally got it, it was now time to begin my tier 5 Kuudra journey. So first things first, I assembled a team that consisted of a friend of mine who had never played tier 5 before, some random guy on my friends list who throws every other run, and also just some random guy from Party Finder. And with this kind of a god party, we were going to be completely unstoppable. No, I'm actually not even joking. We somehow got a sub 5 our first run. Oh, and I also dropped a Kuudra core literally on my first run. So yeah, it was a pretty good high note to start out my tier 5 Kuudra journey with. Now I'm just going to kind of skip through the next few weeks here because they were basically me just chilling and playing some Kuudra, occasionally getting minor upgrades here and there, until I finally decided it was time to launch the 4th and final phase of my plan. And you knew it was coming, spending copious amounts of coins on minor stat buffs. Now I went into this final phase with a go big or go home attitude, which is why I came straight out of the gate and got myself God Roll Terror Armor, and then proceeded shortly after to upload my most expensive video I've ever made before, spending nearly 2 billion coins in it. However, those 2 billion coins most definitely did not go to waste, as I was able to upgrade my current burning 10-star terror all the way up to Infernal tier, and on top of that, I was able to get the best pet in the game, the level 200 Golden Dragon. Also, wow, it hurts to look at that purse. Now, more recently, I've gone ahead and spent around 250 million coins upgrading my archery equipment for even more DPS, as well as getting Infernal Aurora Armor, which, contrary to earlier, does actually give me quite a bit of extra EHP over my Storm Armor. And besides some minor upgrades I made along the way, like spending a few hundred million on Talisman so I could get my magical power up a bit, that brings an end to the story of my Kuudra journey. Now, if you're curious about all the stats of everything, I spent just a little under 6 billion coins, 1,080 Kuudra teeth, and over 1,000 hours of playtime throughout my Kuudra journey. And so far, I've made back what I estimate to be around 3.5 billion coins. And if I keep going at the rate I'm going, in just a matter of weeks, the amount I've earned from Kuudra will exceed the amount I've spent on Kuudra. Which means, hey, come to think of it actually, what are judgment cores at nowadays?